Well, here I'm going to show you how I'm doing my sugar-free chocolates. And basically it's cocoa powder, cocoa butter, and powdered sugar-free monk fruit sweetener. You got to get the powdered one, not the crystallized one, because you'll feel it in the candy when you eat it. And then I add extra stuff like collagen into it, so it will be nutritious too. And basically what you do is I already put half a cup in here of the cocoa butter, and you start melting it a little bit. Then at that point you put 2 cups of cocoa powder to 1 cup cocoa butter and 1 cup of this, and then on that one half a cup. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. Right now I gotta let go of this camera. I will be putting 2 scoops of the cocoa powder. This is just to show you the size of the cup. So at this point I put in half a cup of cocoa butter and 1 cup of cocoa chocolate. Which is powder. And the trick here is that this doesn't go over 130 degrees. It'll burn. So you put in a double broiler, keep it on low or off, and constantly stir it like this all the way through the bottom. And I need 2 hands to do this. It'll keep moving around. So just understand what I'm doing. And as it starts blending into a chocolate, you will add the sweetener at any time and the collagen. Then after that, you start adding more cocoa butter, the other half a cup that I was talking about, and the other 2 half cups of cocoa powder, and you'll see it. So I had to pull it off the water a little bit because it started getting a little too warm. So the idea is not to go over 130. The reason is that if you keep it there too long, it'll start burning the chocolate. You'll get the burnt taste. So you just keep on stirring that up, and we're still in the first round for the first batch. Then we're gonna put more of these here, half of a cup more, and then the 2 cups of cocoa powder. And don't forget this one here too, half cup, and well, a cup of that, and half cup of collagen. And just keep working it. And I'll tell you more about it as I keep going. Just have a little patience with this. The second batch will take a little bit to melt into there. But the other important thing is don't ever let water touch the chocolate. It'll ruin it. So just patience. It's hard to do with one hand, but as soon as this cocoa butter melts into this solution, it'll start mixing in better, as you see here. Like I said, one hand is difficult. So I'll keep mixing this and keep you up to speed. So if you see, it's almost all 100% blended in and melted together. You see a couple little chunks in there, which is just patience, and keep stirring it all the way from the bottom, every single corner. Don't stop stirring. I'll explain that to you in a little bit. What I'm gonna do is at this point, I can add one of these here, half a cups of powdered sugar. And then I'll add another one after that. Why do we do that? Because chocolate is naturally bitter, and we don't want bitter. And we don't want it too sweet, but at this point, I'm gonna be putting in 1 cup to the 4 cups of cocoa powder mix. Or let me correct that. 2 cups of cocoa powder to 1 cup of this here. Sorry. You know, I do my recipes and so forth on the fly. I don't follow recipes. So this time, because this is the first time we tried the powder, we tried the other ones, had to blend it, and it was a nightmare. So I'm gonna try just 1/2 cup here, a 1/2 cup of powder, and see how sweet it is or bitter. And this will be my experiment, but that's to taste for you guys. I'll let you know how this comes out here, but just keep blending it and blending it. Remember, not over 130. And just keep stirring it. A little difficult with one hand, so I'll have to let go. I don't know if you've ever made gravy and you put the flour in the clumps. You got to push them up against the wall and break them up. That's basically what you got to do. A little bit to the powder, the sugar powder. Just have patience. Sure, it's time consuming, but it pays off. Now, sorry, I tasted it. I went ahead and put the other 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. It was tad too bitter still. A little bit, but not good enough for me. So I put more. Almost ready. I'm adding my collagen into it for nutrition. I'll mix that up. Then I'll be ready to pour into a mold or on a sheet just to cut it up later once it gets hard. But I'll be back in here. Getting some hard chocolate already. I didn't have any left from the last batch I did, so I'm just gonna get some regular one. Regular unsweetened chocolate cacao, the same thing as a powder, except it's hardened and it's in a cool fashion, cool mode. So basically cut it up in little pieces. The reason for that is because we're going to temper the chocolate. And tempering the chocolate is making it to the point where chemically it will stay hard at room temperature as opposed to melting even when you touch it. So to do this is you get usually 1/3 of whatever chocolate you're making. That 1/3 is of cold chocolate. And that cold chocolate, you will be adding it to this here. Right now, it's at 115, temperature's off. And then what I'm gonna do is bring it out to here. And we're gonna start adding some little chips slowly. And we're gonna start melting it. And you wanna get it to 89 degrees. If you need to put in the freezer for a minute or two, that's fine, but 89 degrees, and to put this cold chocolate into it has a chemical reaction inside that makes it hard, and it's called chocolate tempering. See how this is very hard and it's brittle when you break it? Well, that's what we're trying to do. If you don't do that, it'll stay milky and chocolatey and so forth, but you want that effect so that you won't have to have the chocolate inside the refrigerator. You can have it out here at room temperature and it's going to be just fine. I left it in the freezer for 1 minute only. I fixed my molds here where I put a bunch of nuts in there, cashews, pecans, and so forth. So, and this is almond flour and an egg just to make them stick together, and it makes a cookie. And we're just gonna put some chocolate. That depends on how much my chocolate, how far it goes. Staring at it. Put it for another minute in the freezer. 96 degrees. Now we have 6 degrees more to go before I can pour it in. 6 more degrees. 89 is the optimum temperature. So, but you gotta keep mixing all the way straight through. Not the way I'm doing it on camera, so I'm off. Yes. The extra chocolate, not much. It'll get hard. I can chip it off and eat it. Or remelt. Cool down. Now let's see if I can do this with one hand. Basically, once it cools down, you pop it out. And there you go. Sure, this one got a little hollow, but that's the extra stuff that I was talking about, just breaks off. And that was from the other day. Let's try another one. There you go. Very simple, so I can get it to work with one hand. You can put whatever you want in it. I just like to put the nuts in there. Come out nice, shiny, and you don't have to put them in the fridge or anything to keep them hard. Nice and shiny, and they are good. I tried the, the pieces, and perfectly sweet. Not too sweet, and not bitter at all. So yeah, this beats M&M's and all that other stuff, because you'll be hurting when you're 100 pounds extra like I was. And let's try for the big one. Oh, come on. I'm working on it. There we go for the big one. All right. And this is the extra chocolate I was talking about. You eat that, or throw them in a little baggie and use them for the next round. Okay, basically the cookie, I just take it off the pan, put it here, and use a pizza cutter. I don't feel like making little molds. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. That's it there. And not to go too much extreme. Just go one side there. There. There you have it, the cookies. Little cookies. All ready to go. Sure, it took a while, but it's worth it. I have to pay nobody to do this. And plus, I can eat as many as I want without having that sugar make me overweight.